Now, welcome back. ANC veteran Dr Mavuso Msimang says that the road to South Africa's economic recovery unavoidably begins with a drastic shakeup of cabinet. Now, ahead of the cabinet reshuffle, President Cyril Ramaphosa must apply his mind to use this opportunity to save South Africa from the current crisis that the country is in. Msimang says that using this opportunity of a cabinet reshuffle, President Ramaphosa must not only stop the mess, but also start to reverse the hazardous drift towards deep, dark hole that South Africa is heading towards. And the ANC veteran Dr Mavuso Msimang joins us now virtually to speak more about this. Dr Msimang, good to have you. Welcome to Morning Live.
Thank you very much, Sakina, and thanks to your viewers. Good morning.
So, Dr Msimang, you state that a major source of what is becoming the country's permanent state of crisis due to the absence of decisive action against thieves and incompetence operating in the public sector, and also the tolerance of such in high office is perhaps what is bedeviling us. Why do you think that all of this is tolerated?
Well, that's really the problem that one hopes the president will address now. Fact of the matter is that we have deteriorated to the extent that we have as a nation because of corruption. It's a major, major contributor. We've come from an era where there was state corruption, and this was the most difficult in the sense that the highest leader, the president, was friends with people who were bent on corruption. We thought when he left and a new person came in, that relationship would go and the process of ending corruption would start. I think there were measures, we must grant this to the president, that were taken in setting up commissions and other means of stopping corruption, investigating exactly what's going on, and Zondo and others have done that. What's been expected really was that with that in hand, it should be very easy for the president to ensure that the corrupt, at the very least, are not in his cabinet. You know, the cabinet, he's got the unfettered authority to invite people there. He's not constrained by anything at all. I mean, people always consult about this. So he has no reason at all to allow into his cabinet anybody who could be associated with the state of corruption in which we are.
And yet, this is the case. You speak of the State Capture Commission of Inquiry into allegations of state capture, and many people are named, people in the African National Congress in that report. So to your view, has the president done enough to actually deal with what is stated and recommended in that report? And if not, what should happen? Because the president, if he is serious about dealing with corruption and malfeasance, here's a golden opportunity for him where he could simply point to the report and say, listen, this is what has emerged, and therefore I have a duty and obligation to deal with this. He hasn't done that, or has he?
Well, absolutely, there's no doubt about that we wouldn't be in this kind of mess if he had done so. He didn't do so, but one is saying now, perhaps this is the last opportunity, and I mean the last opportunity for him and for the ANC to regain credibility. He has two positions in cabinet that have remained vacant for some time, at least one, the public, what's this thing, which was abandoned, which was left by Dodlo, Ayanda Dodlo. Then there is transport. So he needs to, as a matter of urgency, fill these vacancies because there are serious gaps in those areas. So what I'm saying really is that this is a grand opportunity for him. If he hasn't done this really and doesn't do it now, I mean, I talked to a person who will be regarded as a has-been, who never really was. But I'm saying he has the opportunity. I'm sure if you become president, you don't just want to do that for the sake of being president. You have certain ambitions to fulfill best president or one of the best and so on. I'm saying this cabinet shake-up now, this reshuffle, this is where it really has the opportunity to say to South Africans, I have been talking about not liking corruption. I will demonstrate it within an area where I have jurisdiction. And I will make sure that there is no one who is in any way associated with corruption who will be allowed in. Hasn't done so, but I think the opportunity exists now.
So you also speak in your article about, the crises that South Africa faces, and you speak of three in particular: the energy crisis, the massive unemployment, and also crime and criminality in South Africa. So let's unpack those, starting with the energy crisis. You look at how this has unfolded. Government, through the President's State of the Nation address, then announces a state of disaster and the appointment of a Minister of Electricity. We, in the aftermath of that, have gone to the worst load shedding that South Africa has ever faced, a week of stage 6 load shedding, and yet still no appointment of that Minister of Electricity, even though the announcement has been made several weeks ago already. And then we also see the instability at the power utility with some serious allegations, damning allegations once again against the ANC. So what is your take on that, Dr. Msimang?
I am with the average person in South Africa who is extremely disappointed by the turn of events. The energy crisis is what's hitting everybody. I mean, everybody, even people who've got money to do to use alternative sources of energy. It's a real crisis. I don't know if we've had a crisis bigger than this. One is saying, and really the performance to date is not good. But, if I'm speaking to my article, I'm saying, this is the last chance, President. It really is the last chance. The questions that you are asking will need to be answered by you assembling a group of people who are knowledgeable, who are competent, and they exist, by the way, in South Africa. They exist also in Parliament and in the NACLB. If he chose the right ones, horses for courses, get people who know what they are doing to do it. It's bad. We're in a very, very bad space as a country. I don't imagine that. I have no doubt that we've not been in a crisis of this nature. I don't really want to even start commenting about ministers of electricity and people like that. There has to be a plan to deal with this energy crisis. We're hearing now that it's not just the failure of the people who have been leading, but that there is massive sabotage. But that also there is corruption when ministers are being named as being complicit. I agree with everybody who says, by the way, the writer has the obligation to go and report these things. He has to. Otherwise, really, action has to be taken against him. But at the same time, I don't think he must be the subject, the object of attacks. I think what must be attacked is the problem that we have, which is the inability by those in authority, first of all, in the appointments, the inability to deal with saboteurs, to deal with criminality, and that has left the nation in the condition in which it is. Can he do that? I really think he could do that if he applied his mind, if he had the courage to remove, get in place good people. And by the way, in the private sector, public sector, you have people who can do these things. I'm saying the president has the power. If he doesn't exercise the power to do this, it's really going to be goodbye to himself, to the ANC in leadership, and I think into an era of crisis, given that the political party scene itself is really not rich with good performance. So my hope is that he takes this opportunity. Really, he doesn't, and it's very easy. The test is anybody, and when you say people are tainted, you're not saying they are guilty, and they must stop the step-aside thing in the ANC is good for the ANC, perhaps, to some extent. The thing is that when a president has the power to take good people, he's not concerned about removing those. It's not that because they've committed any crime, it's because he wants the best team to run the country.
So, just with regard to your response there, Dr. Msimang, yes, Andre de Ruyter has an absolute obligation, given his position that he has now just vacated, to actually make known who the people are who interfered, those who are bedeviling, and the members of the ANC who've been feeding at the Eskom trough. But equally, we now know that he spoke and mentioned this to Minister Pravin Gordhan. So why is it that nobody is basically making a song and dance about the minister having to do likewise as Mr. de Ruyter? One almost gets a sense that de Ruyter is being scapegoated in this regard.
No, and it shouldn't be. If that's what's happening, really it is. Perhaps some people I saw listen to an attack on him by some person. No. I don't know what happens privately before a president takes action. I would like to think that the president has called in Pravin Gordhan and said, tell me exactly what do you know about this, and get the full story. When he acts in the appropriate manner, it should be a matter for him to do. We are interested as a country, of course, as the rest of society, to know what action is being taken. He should establish the fact. Maybe he does not always have to tell all of us what he has done. But I would imagine that if there are such serious allegations against the minister, the president would need to have had a strong word with him to find out what the facts are and act accordingly.
So we are running out of time, but if we can just quickly touch on the issues of unemployment, unacceptably high levels of unemployment in this country, record levels of unemployment, even coming out of the apartheid years, and of course the issue of criminality, which one could link to the issue of unemployment. So your views on those and how government has been tackling that, Dr. Msimang?
You know, part of the high levels of unemployment, the cause of that is both internal and also external. I think without going to what happens in the global environment, economic environment, and how it affects us, the fact of the matter is that when you have got incompetence in areas, when you've got people who are involved in corruption, it has an impact on unemployment. Because you've got incompetent people who pursue wrong policies, who don't know how to address the existing problem. So really, I'm saying whatever the cause is, the government cannot escape the responsibility of stepping in to make sure that it puts in place right policies that will deal with issues of unemployment. Criminality, I mean, before I started talking here, I was listening to the Westbury story. There are hundreds of these stories, and people have no confidence. Many people have lost confidence in the police. Again, it's a leadership problem, nothing but a serious leadership problem. The confidence of the people in the leadership of these different institutions, ministries, and so on, has to be reinstated. Otherwise, we'll drift further and further.
Dr. Msimang, thanks so much for your time. ANC veteran Dr. Mavuso Msimang saying that the expected cabinet reshuffle is an opportunity for President Cyril Ramaphosa not only to stop the governance morass that the country finds itself in, but also to start reversing some of the hazardous drift that we find ourselves on towards this inevitable abyss. So please let us know what your thoughts are on that as well at Morning Live SABC.